Hello and welcome, fellow Wasteland survivors. I'm Dean. Thanks for stopping in, hanging out with me. It's great to see you, and I hope you're doing well. Now, not too long ago, we did just celebrate the Fasnacht holiday event. Now, if you're like me and you participated in the event, you probably got one or more of these plans to make these really cool Fasnacht poles. Well, in today's video, we've got some tips on how to turn these pretty cool poles into some really awesome light poles or light lamps. They're really fun, they look awesome, and I've got a couple of different tips on how to place lighting inside of them. And with these tips, there's literally hundreds of ways that you could build these. And then we'll finish up the video making this lamp post. All right, we got a lot to do, so let's get started. Now, we already know that quite a few objects in our inventory will set on top of one another. For example, this footlocker on top of this cabinet. And then we could move the cabinet around and really just kind of do whatever we wanted to do with the footlocker. We've seen these different tips and tricks throughout our Dude, Where's My Camp video series. We used conduits, we used rugs. It's actually how people are putting items on shelves. And I'm sure you've seen videos on that. But now, did you realize that you could actually put objects on your power armor? And pretty much any floor mounted object will go on top of your power armor. We're going to place this oil lamp on there, and as you can see, it's setting on there just fine. Now what happens if we store our power armor? Well, the object's just going to float in the air. Now keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. You can do this with, like I said, most of the floor objects, and you can do this with quite a few of the wall-mounted objects as well, such as lights, signs, um, the little letters, things like that. So this is a great tip to float an object if you need to. And as you can see, that doesn't look too bad there. Here it is at night. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind about these different lights as we're making them, they're all going to light up differently. This particular one only lights up around the oil lamp. So therefore, like up against a wall or a rock or something like that, it doesn't cast any light down on the ground to light up the path or the underneath of the pole. But still looks pretty good, and I can think of a lot of things I'd like to use this idea for. Alright, let's put our power armor out one more time. I'm trying to push it out a little bit away. If you're trying to put your light in a specific spot, you may have to adjust your power or put your power armor out 2 or 3 times to get it just right. We're going to use this candle, and I'd like the pole of the Fasnacht pole to kind of be setting right there where the two floors come together. So that's why we've moved the power armor out a little bit. Now this isn't going to be here permanently, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time getting it just perfect. Alright, we'll grab another Fasnacht pole. I think we'll use this green one. Why not? I like it. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Here it is at night. And just like the oil lamp, it only produces light around it. As you can see, those two lamps there are really lighting up nicely, but they're not really shedding any light on the ground. Yep, they look good. Love them. Alright, now for our next light, instead of putting the power armor out first, we're going to use this cabinet first. I've kind of lined it up a little bit here on the edge of the floor, and I'm going to move it out towards us a little bit because I want the light to kind of be out over this floor a little bit. Alright, we've placed it down. That looks pretty good. Now the next thing that we're going to need is a ladder and a floor. Now the reason that we're doing this is so that we can get up and above the cabinet to set the power armor down on top of the cabinet. We can't really do it down on the floor. Also, by getting up here on top, it allows us to place it exactly where we want it on top of the cabinet. Here, I'm going to place it right up against the edge on the right hand side. Now, right now it doesn't matter to do that, but a little bit later when we place something on the side, that will make a difference. And we'll see that later on in the video. And now, if we move or store the cabinet, our power armor floats in the air a certain height off the ground. And yes, ceiling mounted objects will connect to the bottom of it. And we'll do this saucer light. I think that's going to look pretty good. Now we could go ahead and store our power armor, and our saucer light is floating in the air. Think about all the possibilities that we can do by knowing that little tip right there. Oh, that's going to be so good. And we'll use this Fasnacht pole here, the red one. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Also, because of the nature of this type of light, we might be able to get something to set on top of it. I do get this statue to turn green. Also, I'm using this beer stein. This is turning green as well. There was actually quite a few objects that I placed up here on top that turned green. The balloons is another one. Quite a bit of the succulents went up there. You know, a lot of floor mounted or floor objects went on top of this light. Now this will not work for every kind of thing that you put up there, but give it a try. You never know what you might get. And here it is at night. Yeah, that looks really good. I chose to put the beer stein up there. Now it's not really lighting up the pole, but look at how well it's lighting up the ground. That looks really good. Yes. So unlike our first two lamps, this lamp is really lighting up the area underneath of it real well. Alright, for our next light, we're going to use the same cabinet, ladder, and floor, but the difference is this time we're going to have a footlocker on top of it. And we're going to line this footlocker up against the edge of the cabinet below it. Now what this will do is it will give us another point or place to put our power armor, and it's the thickness of that footlocker above the top of the cabinet. This is just another way to get the power armor to a specific height that you might need it. So, you know, there's all kinds of objects that the power armor can set on. So experiment with it. Get it just perfect for you. Alright, now we're going to use a cycling light this time. And that should be pretty good. We'll go ahead, hook it to power. Once we've got it to power, you can change, of course, the cycling light to whatever color you want it to be. I think I would like it to go to blue. Be blue, blue, buckle my shoe. Alright, now once we've gotten that done, we can go ahead and place our power armor into our inventory. And it's just as simple as getting out our Fasnacht pole of your choice and placing it over top of the light. Now you can see why we went up higher with the light, so that way the light bulb isn't sticking out the bottom. Now it kind of looks a little weird with the wire coming out of it, but if you do this 2, 3, 4 of these lights together, it really does look pretty sexy. The pole itself is lighting up well, and even though it's not really that dark here tonight for some reason in the mire, you can really see that it is glowing pretty good and blue on the floor. I really love this one. This one looks excellent. Alright, now one more thing I'd like to show before we jump on to the next segment is we can pretty much do the same thing with the cabinets and stuff down on the ground. So here I'm going to use this black stash box, put the power armor on it, and now what I'm going to go ahead and do is put like this beer stein on there, something floor oriented. Could do the balloons, you know, could do the statue, could do whatever you want. Now what this done is it's raised it up off the ground, the height of that locker or that stash box underneath of us. Now all I have to do is just go get a cycling light and attach it to the bottom of the beer stein. And we've done basically the same thing. We just have the beer stein that the light's connected to instead of the light floating. So in the first one we did the lights floating, in this one the beer stein's floating, and the light's just connected to it. We'll move our stash box out of the way, we'll change our cycling light over to green, and I think we'll use the green Fasnacht pole with it. That should look pretty cool. And we'll just get this lined up there, and you can see we got the same result. Well, it looks like almost the same result. The light bulb's sticking out the bottom just a little bit. So we could have chose another container that was taller, or did two containers to get it up a little bit higher. Also, when I played around with the beer stein a little bit, I got one of these flags to go up there. And you know, you could just play around with this all you wanted to. Excuse me. I put different kinds of the streamers up there, and there's just really a lot that you can do. Alright, now for our final segment for today's video, I'd like to show how to make that lamp post. So first of all, we're going to do what we've been doing over the last 3 segments. We're going to use a cabinet, ladder, and floor, and we're going to go ahead and put our power armor down on top of the cabinet. Now, it's kind of important to get this fairly close to the edge of the cabinet. The reason is because when you go to put a side-mounted object on the power armor, there's only a few places that it'll turn green. But if you get something underneath of it, then you can really get it to drop lower or get into different areas that you normally couldn't get it to go there. So even though it's using the cabinet to kind of help it register to turn green, it's not really attached to the cabinet. It's still attached to the power armor. It's kind of hard to explain what I mean, but if you don't do it like that and you're trying this, you'll get it right away what I'm talking about. Okay, we can go ahead and store our power armor. Now what I've done is gotten into our defenses, and we have this post. Now this is an atoms object, but if you place one down and don't move, the second one will go directly right on top of it, and you can, you know, place it right on there, and it is perfectly lined up. Now, what's really cool about this is it has a lot of functions. You can use it as alternative metal posts for your balconies or your walkways and stuff. They really look good. And because of the way they stack on top of one another perfectly, they just really are awesome. And you can see how well that looks. Also, it works well with the defense railings. Here, we'll go ahead and take these 2 railings and store them. Now we'll go ahead and move our post into the corner. Now it's going to kind of jump around a little bit because it's wanting to set on a floor. It's not going to float out there in the air a little bit. So you're going to have to adjust this the best you can. But once you place it down, you can see that our railings go on there just absolutely perfect. And they go right into the post, just like they do the metal posts when you offset them with a half a floor. Well, what we're going to do with our post today is we're going to bring it over and place it up against our light. And once we do that, we're going to have that pretty nice looking lamp post. Now, this is something you got to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Fallout 4, we can't group select this and move it where we want. So it's really important to put the light where you want it. And then you can place the other objects up to it and around it to get the effects that you want. And there's really a lot of cool ideas that you can do with this. Really looks awesome. Alright, my Wasteland friends, thank you all very much for stopping in and hanging out with me today. I really hope today's video gave you some sweet ideas for your next camp build. Also, I look forward to seeing you on the next video, where I'm going to be showing how to run wires and electrical conduits in and through foundations and floors. Man, you're not going to want to miss this one. It's going to be good. All right, everybody, thank you again. And just like always, but now more than ever, until next time, please stay safe and peace.